Oh shit. Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire, and okay, I changed my camera angle, so maybe I'm going to change it a little bit more after this, but hopefully you guys are having a good one. I'm having a good one as I am back. I am unbanned from YouTube. We were in the naughty camp for a while because of my last intro, my regular intro. They apparently falsely flagged that as me having a firearm during my live stream, even though I didn't. So we're back. We're out of the naughty camp and we're streaming again. The streaming ban is over. So huzzah for that. And just in time, because I have this one right now on Wes Watson, and then my next live stream, which may be even like this evening for me, or which will be the morning in the US, depending on where it is. So about let's say 12, 13, 14 hours from now, something like that, 12, 13 hours from now, I'm going to have some Somali updates for you. And we're going to have yet another stream with something that I needed to get out there now because it's getting leaked, and I want to be the one to give you guys the right information. So we got a Somali update coming later. I'll probably have a very short stream about that. And then we'll get into, we'll have a fast facts as well and all that good, nice stuff. So that'll be coming later today as well. I'm very excited for that. But I'm good to be back here with you guys, having a great time. Hopefully you enjoyed my last videos on the clap slap, getting around, and also on Miss Kiff. I wanted to do a stream on the Miss Kitty one because it was a little, I could have gone a little bit longer on that one, and I may have more to add to that as we see more filings come up in that case. But it's good to see everybody here in the chat today, everybody piling in. I appreciate all of you. James6656 becoming a new member. JP Ravenmeyer saying, shut up, I want Mudang. Mudang is here. Mudang is doing good. I also fixed the autofocus, so hopefully it is a little bit better now and not being weird and actually focusing on my face, not the microphone. Ball Davy said a year of wild law tube from 12 months. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's only going to get more wild. We are not going to get less wild. I'll tell you that. It's only going to get more wild on the channel. But it's good to be back. Also, just so you know, the plushies are indeed live. So if you want to go over, let me put this in the chat, and I'll try to pin it. But they are indeed live. So if you haven't gotten yourself a pre-order for the plushie, for the cabbage plushie, you can get that. I'm going to pin that. Let me pin that right now in the on YouTube. Let me just go ahead and pin that. And then Kick, you guys could see that on Kick. So you've got that over there. Let's see. Can you pin stuff onto Kick? Let me see. Yes, you can. Okay. Got it. It's pinned on Kick too. Okay. It's pinned. So get yourself a plushie just in time for RKI's sentencing in April. But the important thing to note is that the trial, as in the case in chief, as in the presentation of evidence, is over. So that's very relevant to the breaking news I'm going to have for you guys later today. But get yourself a cabbage plushie and join in the love. Billy Oki says, Mudang. Yeah, Mudang's doing great. Is this live? Yes, absolutely. This is 100% live. Devil's Advocate, member for 17 months, says, Mudang looks like Princess Kenny. Horrifying. She is not. What is horrifying about Mudang wearing a tiara? Okay. Mudang is, first of all, a girl, not Kenny. Kenny, unless you're transitioning Kenny, which I have questions, but Mudang is definitely a girl. So tiara is appropriate, although I will put her back in the ball caps and all the other good stuff later as well. Her cowboy hat is right there too. I'm here for the scuff says 2026, the year of legal mindset, wild times. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Repton. Remember, for 20 more 4 months, says let them cope and seethe. Also, buy cabbage plushies. That's right. Get yours today. Tank Rat for 50 says hello from It's Not a Bunker by my living room. Oh, hey, look, daytime fireworks, UAE. That ban was lame. I know, it was the stupidest thing ever. And the thing is, the firearms policy on YouTube is ridiculous because the firearms policy pretty much says you can't have firearms in your live stream. So you can't be showing a firearm during a live. Okay, I get okay, but there's plenty of videos out there, people firing whatever during pre-recorded videos, etc. So, and there's plenty of times when you're watching video that's pre-recorded or whatever, and someone has a firearm. I understand why you can't have firearms live on YouTube because they wouldn't want something to happen with it, and then that's streamed to everybody. I get that, right? But the AI is not very good at catching what actually is a clip and what's live, right? All it says is, oh, this is a live stream. Therefore, if it picks up an image of a firearm, then it freaks out, right? Very, very weird and lame. Funky1463 says, never mind Moodang, we went cabbage plushie. The cabbage plushie is also good. Listen, the cabbage plushie, you know what? You can also put a hat on the cabbage plushie. The cabbage plushie looks good in a hat too. Not going to lie. See, that's kind of cool, right? Very cool. Very cool. I have to find a way to get a better stand, not just my lamp, that can host all the plushies, which are the weapons of mass destruction. According to the Miskiff case, they are a weapon of mass destruction and mass murder. Asherain says Corey Richard's trials were nice. Closing was crazy. Yeah, and it was really interesting that the defense decided to pretty much fold. Very, very interesting. But of course, Corey Richards got the verdict that I would have expected, which was guilty. Right? I mean, that was what was lining up for, and that's how it played out. Armando Limon 7465 says finally got to catch a morning stream. Yeah, there you go. And I do plan on doing some at this time as well when I'm up and around and about. It's a matter of whether I'm up. Okay. So let's jump right into this. In case you guys don't know, we got a PP here. Of course, we got a PP. We're going to talk about Wes Watson. Definitely a lolcow for sure. But another lolcow mentioned here. Wendy says F3, and Wendy F33 said Moodang is adorable. But then Sir Guard Pebble Nettle Soup mentions the lolcow of the guy who jumped into Moodang's enclosure. So there was a guy, it was a Thai national, who jumped into Moodang's enclosure and tried to film Moodang and take a picture with Moodang up close. Absolutely wild, crazy. It ended up upsetting Moodang, but Moodang was unharmed, right? But absolutely, he was punished for that. So he got what he deserved. Absolute joker trying to mess with Moodang and Jonah, Moodang's mom. Oregonial said, did you progress from rocks and slingshot into firearms, or did you just jump right into firearms, skipping the kiddie stuff? Well, as a child, I grew up pretty young. I went to like hunter's safety class when I was like 8 or 9, and I was shooting when I was very, very young. So I pretty much jumped into firearms, although I will say I did throw a couple rocks and make a couple slingshots before then, but I progressed very quickly to firearms. All right, so let's get started with this today on the Wes Watson arrest. Now, I've got documents we're going to go through, so and including the new documents regarding the bond, which is very interesting. So we'll jump into that. In case you don't know, Wes Watson here, he is fitness. I don't know whether to call these guys. They're like fitness, life coach. He's not manosphere, but like, personal growth person, whatever. But to me, he's more of a lolcow, more of a joke. And you see him here kind of in his pose and then here in his mug shot. So this is his actual mug shot from Broward County, from the Broward County Sheriff's Office over here as he got arrested. They took note of all the tattoos and everything he's got there in his description. So essentially, Wes Watson was involved in a domestic altercation, and I think that's underselling it here, with his fiance. Watson was already out on pretrial release pending a trial for a 4-on-1 fight at his gym in Miami. In case you guys haven't seen that, I'll show that to you quickly after this. But Miami prosecutors have also filed just now to terminate his pretrial release that he was on for that fight in Miami. So pulling that up for you guys, in case you guys forgot or didn't remember or weren't paying attention to Wes Watson. You have this fight here, and this was a 4-on-1 fight in his gym against this guy who showed up at the gym kind of to challenge Wes Watson to a 1-on-1, but it turned into a 4-on-1. See these guys, so these 4 guys, including Wes Watson, right? All jump in, all beat him down. They wail on him with a weight belt. They beat him up. So all of those guys ended up ganging up on Wes Watson, and Wes Watson is still pending a trial for that. That was at Elevation Gym in Miami. And now I guess whether he moved or whether he was always commuting to the gym, I'm not really sure on that one. But this one is in Broward County, which is north of Miami. So in case you're not a South Florida person, that's just a little bit north. Devil's Advocate says WW best summarized as testosterone adjacent. Yes, he's a testosterone adjacent influencer, but certainly he's no one to follow. If you want to follow ex-cons, there's a lot of ex-cons that are out there, reforming their life, doing good. I think JD Daly is doing good. There's a lot of other people that are out there doing good as ex-cons, turning their life around, being positive influences. He's definitely not one of them. And he's one that, he came out originally talking about things in prison, and people thought that was very cool because he was giving an inside perspective. But it turns out a lot of the stuff he talked about was bullshit, and he definitely overinflated his role inside of prison. UNSC Frigate Grafton as a new member. Welcome. Oyamata 13 for 5 says, did newscasts have an exemption? The news will have live feed on police chases and YouTube, and firearms will appear at the end. They never get taken down. Well, are you talking about off YouTube? Well, the other thing is that they may have deeper connections into YouTube, and they can just phone up YouTube and answer. Whereas little peons like me have to go through tagging people on social media, getting their social media team involved, trying to get involved with someone on the YouTube team or YouTube staff to correct that or to answer that. It's very annoying. And usually it's someone outsourced or someone who just gives a robotic response, an automatic response. Very, very, very frustrating with YouTube. They sometimes are evil, I will say that. But let's go through the actual thing that happened and what actually went down here. So here is the actual probable cause affidavit. So this is actually what happened in the case. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here so we can go through this. I think that's about right because the text is kind of small. So he's facing 5 different crimes. So robbery by sudden snatching, battery, committing felony battery, aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony, obstructing justice, hindering communication with the law enforcement, and kidnapping and false imprisonment. So I will say right now, especially since Wes Watson is a repeat offender, he is going to have all of that under Florida law as a habitual felony offender, HFO, or habitual violent felony offender, HVFO, have that time effectively doubled. So whatever he was thinking about facing, even if they're going to hand him a plea deal or something else, they're going to look at that and say, okay, all this time you're having in here is doubled. And it's already a lot of time. We're going to get into that. I have a slide for you on that, on the time. It's decades. So when you take that time and you effectively double it, it's a long time. So even if he's taking a plea deal, that is a fraction of this. And I think he will try to take a plea deal on this. It's still going to be a very long time in prison for Wes Watson. Real Campbell Blue gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Very, very big. Yes. James 6656 gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you.
Hello, beso de pato, man.
And I think I owe you guys another members before the end of the month. So we'll try to sneak one in there towards the end of the month for another members only stream as well. Manachan says everyone deserves a second chance, though there are exceptions. Well, the point here is that he's had chances. He's a repeat offender. He's done multiple crimes, right? So it's not like something where this is his first crime, is the first thing. And that could be understandable. There's a really good reason why you give people probation or deferred prosecution if it's their first offense. Many people, in fact, I would say most people can learn from a first offense and not do it again, or not screw up, or not do that. So I think it's important to give people a first chance, but if they show that they're not going to follow the rules, then, the punishment is sometimes very much merited, very much merited. So here we go. So this statement was a statement from the victim. So the victim and Wes Watson is the defendant in this. So when you see defendant, you're talking about Wes Watson, were in a romantic relationship since January of 2026. After 2 months of their relationship, the defendant, Wes Watson, proposed to the victim. Now, that right now that's what I call a red flag, ladies and gentlemen. If someone has proposed to you after 2 months, you got to watch out. That is definitely dangerous. And asked her to move in, for which she resided off and on at his residence in Hollandale Beach. So here we go. This happened on March 15th. So on March 14th, the victim went to a Miami Heat basketball game with her female friend. We'll go Heat, It's a former Miami resident there. After the game, Wes Watson picked her up from her friend's house and they went to his house. At this point, it was approximately 6 a.m. on Sunday. While they were at his residence, the victim stated that Wes Watson received a text message of a screenshot of her and her friend while at the Heat game. Wes Watson confronted her about her whereabouts, as she had not disclosed she had gone to the game with her friend. Wes Watson began yelling at the victim, explaining he paid for her boob job, that she was disrespectful for having her boobs out, and that those are my boobs. Which, okay, I mean, I think that's a pretty big red flag right there. Those are my boobs. That's pretty deranged. That's pretty off the hilter. And accusing her of cheating on him. The victim further elaborated this was when the defendant freaked out and against her will, forcibly grabbed her by the neck and told her, "You stupid little bee," we're going to just not say this word, but you can read it, that's where you were. The victim could not remember if the defendant held her with one or two hands, but this caused bruising to her neck area. So now we're going into the battery. Now we're going into the aggravated assault. So these are the things that we're heading down that track. Defendant began to rattle and shake her by grabbing both of her arms forcefully. He continued to push, grab her by the hair, slam her on the floor. Okay, now we're fully in aggravated assault, battery territory. We're fully in that. The defendant then dragged the victim by the hair on the floor, pinned her against the kitchen table. He pushed and grabbed, manhandling the victim's face, causing a scratch to the victim's right cheek. The victim stated the defendant forcefully pinned her back against the table, causing her back to bend and hurt. The defendant began yelling at the victim, "I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill your whole family." Yeah, that's some roid rage shit. That's absolutely some roid rage shit. He continued to push the victim down on the floor with force, picked her back up forcefully against her will, and sat her down in a chair. During the defendant's physical abuse towards the victim, she yelled, "Help me, get him off of me," to three other witnesses who were present inside the residence. The victim elaborated that nobody did anything to her to get the defendant to stop. It should be noted the victim is approximately 5'1" and weighs 125, while the defendant is 6'1" and weighs approximately 245. So right there, I do kind of hope that they charge the other people in I mean, they can definitely charge them for some of the stuff they did related. You're going to see later with the cell phone and other stuff like that. So, I mean, I think when you're sitting there and you're not only not doing anything, but you're going to see these people actually were contributing towards it and egging them, Wes Watson on. It does not look good. Yeah, he is 6'1", 245. 6'1", 245. So they say, right? Saying he's not 6'1", he's below 6'1". Let's see. Let me Google what is that's hold on. Let's see if we can get a better approximate guess on that. He's 5'8", so it's police records 5'8", claims to be 6 foot. True height is probably 5'10", 5'11". Okay, so hey, we got some height fraud maxing here. We got some fraud maxing on height. Leprechaun Gold gets a $10 super sticker. Thank you very much. Thank you. Famously, he wears lift shoes. Yes, a lot of I'm gonna tell you guys right now, a lot of these influencers and, people like Clavicular out it. They just say they do, right? They all wear lifts. They all wear the shoes with the heel in them. I mean, they're not blessed like yours truly and don't have to wear that. But a lot of these guys are wearing lifts, are wearing, shoes that boost their height because they're short kings. They're short kings. Okay. Big Buddhist is a new member. Thank you. Appreciate that. I think you're just a renewal member, Big Buddhist. Appreciate that. All right. He's 5'6". Okay, let's continue. But the girl's 5'1", so regardless, he's still bigger than her. It was at this point the defendant the victim elaborated that Wes Watson grabbed her with his right hand by her hair and slammed her head down into the kitchen table. Clear aggravated assault there. This caused the victim to sustain a cut to her forehead, which began bleeding profusely. The victim advised she was in a state of shock, which she believed was momentarily blacked out and lost consciousness. The victim explained her memory was fuzzy afterwards. Well, yeah, that makes sense. The victim advised it was then the defendant stopped beating on her and snatched her cell phone out of her hands. While holding a plate, the defendant threatened to break the plate on top of her head, told her he would grab a bottle and slash it across her face and break it on her head, and told her he would kick her face in. The defendant then told the victim to drink while forcibly pouring alcohol down her throat. It was at this point the defendant told his live-in assistant witness, clean her up. She doesn't stop bleeding, for which the witness cleaned her up and glued her forehead injury. It was at this point the defendant gave his friend, so now the friend is helping, and they stole her phone, so robbery, right? Who was another witness to the incident, the victim's cell phone. The defendant had his friend look through her text messages, photos, social media to make sure she isn't cheating. Bro, this is the most insecure shit ever. Like, this is... a lot of these guys too are on this level of insecurity and bullshit, and also their security and their friends and other people are complicit in a lot of this stuff. So I can see this definitely being true. The defendant had his friend look through the text message photos to make sure it wasn't cheating. The unidentified friend began instigating. So the friend was instigating Wes Watson and his physical actions toward the defendant. So pretty much saying, keep beating her, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, this friend should also be dragged in as well and charged with something, because they're instigating this. They're, complicit in this. They're helping steal the phone, check the phone. The third witness was the defendant's security guard, identified as X, who told the victim to take accountability of her actions for wearing a shirt that exposed her breasts. So essentially, the security guard was like, it's your fault because you're a hoe, right? That's what the security guard said. And that you deserve to get beat up, right? That's absolutely crazy. That's insane. Just unacceptable. The defendant did not allow the victim to utilize her cell phone or call anyone. So now we're getting into false imprisonment. This is false imprisonment. The victim was forced by the defendant to tell her cousin she got the scratch on her cheek from derma peeling. I don't think that's how derma peeling works. Further, the defendant told her if police were to have arrived at the residence, she needed to tell police she slipped on the rug at the residence. Throughout the altercation, the victim stated that Wes Watson held her hostage, false imprisonment, and would not let her leave. The victim tried to leave the residence, but defendant feared she would contact police, and due to being on parole for what I showed you guys, the fight in the gym, he could not allow it. Wes Watson continued to verbally abuse and yell at her. So I will say one thing. Wes Watson was right. And he was right that he was going to go to jail if he was caught for this, right? That's absolutely is true. So Wes Watson knew at that point he fucked up, but there's no putting that back away. I mean, you did the crimes, right? You're going to eventually get in trouble for that. If she had gotten out at whatever point, luckily she got out pretty sooner and reported it, he'd be in trouble. But even later, he could be in trouble as well. So pretty douchey on him. And the only time he actually cared was when he was facing consequences. That reminds me of Johnny Somali. Only apologetic when consequences hit. So the victim eventually fell asleep, and upon waking the next day, she wanted to leave the Wes Watson's residence, but Wes Watson would not let her leave. Once again, continuing false imprisonment. The defendant continued to tell the victim she could not leave because her face was messed up and you have to stay here for more days until your face heals up. Wes Watson told her if she went home, her parents would call the police on him, and I can't go to jail. Well, buddy, you're going to jail now. Oh, you're going to jail now. The defendant further stated, if I go to jail, something bad is going to happen to you, all of your friends, and your family. Wes Watson further implied he would have girls jump the victim in order to ruin her reputation. Wes Watson further told his security guard to make sure she doesn't run and have him stand by the door in an effort to keep the victim from leaving the residence. The victim stated she did not have her cell phone during the date of the incident and most of the following day. She elaborated that the defendant had a witness, one of the other people there, monitor her incoming text call messages and would give her the phone briefly and told her she needed to tell people she was okay and text them back. Other times, Wes Watson would act as if he was her and send text message on her behalf, pretending to be her, I'm okay, I'm going to sleep. She advised she stealthily, okay, interesting, took possession of her cell phone as it was on the table while Wes Watson was getting dressed. Wes Watson threatened her by telling her, if you want to keep your family safe, don't call the police. While the victim was seated in the chair, he lifted the chair with such force he dropped the victim on the floor. The incident physical abuse lasted approximately 40 minutes, but led into the following day. During this time, the victim was scared and afraid of the defendant. She believed he was capable of killing her and then himself, as he said to her. The victim stated that the defendant, Wes Watson, does have firearms, but unsure how many. So those firearms are definitely getting confiscated in Florida as well. So they titled the injuries cuts, scratch to the cheek, bruises to the neck, bruises to the knee, bruises to the shin, inner right knee, left knee, outer calf. We got nut bump on the head, bruise on the back of the neck, bruises on the middle lower back, shoulder, and dark bruise underneath the right breast. So all of this here. So when they looked into Wes Watson, it revealed he was convicted for a prior battery with serious bodily injury. Further, it was clear the defendant struck the victim against her will, causing several injuries and causing the victim to lose consciousness due to force striking against the table, and imprisoned the victim by both threat and violence and confined her at his residence without letting the victim leave. Threatened to hurt the victim while holding a plate and after already committing a battery against her, depriving the victim of her cell phone after snatching it from her hands and preventing the victim from communicating with law enforcement. The defendant was charged accordingly. Very well put in the probable cause statement, and I would agree the charges are appropriate. So what do those look like? Well, we'll get into that in just a second. Let's get to these super chats first. Armando Limon says, you mean WW wears Kim Jong-il platforms? Yes, he does. He absolutely does. Wes Watson definitely wears those high heels. Big Buddhist gift 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
R2 Crow's Eyes said that's some crazy work. He should be locked up. Yes, and he is going to be locked up for a very long time and without bail, which is even better. Even better. Mr. Melancholy says, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. That's right. You're absolutely going to jail. So let's look at how long, shall we? So we've got here the charges. So robbery with sudden snatching, that's up to 15 years. Felony battery, 5 years. Aggravated assault, 5 years. Tampering and hindering law enforcement, up to 15 years. False imprisonment, 5 years. So adding these up, and I don't lawyer math so good, so that's what, 30, and then we got another 15, so that's 45 years there with my lawyer math. So 45 years is what I would say if he wasn't a habitual felony offender or a habitual violent felony offender. When you look at those offenses and you apply the aggravations, that could bring it up to potentially 90, right? That's doubling it. So you look at it, and that is definitely felony maxing. I mean, because he's getting those aggravations based on his current status as a habitual offender, right? So you're getting even more time on that. So a lot of times with the degree, it depends on the degree of felony, but in Florida, depending on the degree, it's doubled, sometimes even tripled if you're a habitual offender, which he classifies as 100%. So that's where we get this. And oh boy, it looks great. Now, the better part is after this, there was a motion filed by Miami. And this is by the people and by the attorney's office that is in charge of his case in Miami. This is the 11th Judicial Circuit. I actually clerked for the 11th Judicial Circuit. I kind of missed those days. Those were fun. Also, Roy Wall, 8169. Welcome as a new member to Legal Mindset. Appreciate having you here. So in this is in front of Judge Altfield, State of Florida versus Wes Watson, Miami-Dade County. This is a motion to revoke bond. So it comes here, Catherine Fernandez Rundle, not Runkle. Sorry, Ian. State Attorney of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida, who moves this honorable court to revoke the defendant's bond according to Rule 3.13 of the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, and states as grounds the following. The defendant has been charged in an information with aggravated battery, a second-degree felony, and a felony battery by third-degree felony. The defendant was issued a bond on those charges and was out on pretrial release. On March 17th, defendant was arrested by Hollandale Beach Police in Broward for allegations occurring on March 15th. Defendant was arrested for 1 count of robbery by sudden snatching, 1 count of felony battery, 1 count of aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony in the third degree, tampering with a witness, felony in the third degree, and false imprisonment, felony in the third degree. So all third degree felonies. The allegations in the new law violation involve domestic violence. The defendant is currently in custody with Broward County, awaiting his first appearance. In case you guys don't know, first appearance is when you first go before a judge and you plead not guilty, guilty. They inform you of your rights. You can get counsel. You can have a counsel assigned for you. That's first appearance. So first appearance is where you get those kind of basic rights. And oftentimes they're detained a little bit before that. So might be detained a couple days before that. The defendant has violated his terms of pretrial release by being arrested for a new law violation, and his bond should be revoked for his violation of his release conditions. Defendant is a threat to the community and should be held without bond while his trial is pending. The state moves the court in its discretion to revoke the bond. And I'm going to tell you guys right now that that is almost certainly going to be granted, because these motions are typically not made. And when they are made, the presumption is heavily in favor of the prosecution. And because this involves domestic violence, because it's 5 felonies, right? At that point, they're going to say, yeah, no, we're definitely taking this guy off the board. We're definitely putting him in jail pending the trial. So what'll happen is he'll probably stay in there pending that trial with Miami. And assuming he's convicted, then he'd just be in jail. Now, Broward did set the bond at $115,000, as well as taking away his guns, no alcohol, no drugs, other stuff like that, staying away from the victim. But I think he's going to be in jail pending that. So when I looked over at my judgment, as I call it, my judgment is his pretrial release is going to likely be revoked. He's staying in jail, and he's going to get harsher sentencing due to those prior offenses and the habitual violent offender status in Florida, which is very, very important. My guess is he gets a multi-year prison sentence. So what that means to me is at least 10 to 15 years, even if he pleads out. So even if Wes Watson decides I'm going to plea out, he's facing up to potentially 90 right there with all the aggravations in Florida, right? As a habitual felony offender, he's got all those aggravations, and also he's got the charges in Miami. He's facing a ton of time. So even if he pleads out, I think 10 to 15 would be a very reasonable amount. If they gave him 5, that would be super low. I think a decade in prison for Wes Watson smells about right. And that's realistic given his past, his history. And I think for a guy like Wes Watson, he belongs in jail. A person like Wes Watson, his natural habitat is jail. He needs to be in jail. He needs to go back to jail. Definitely deserves to be in jail. I've rarely reviewed cases where I think someone deserves to be in jail as much as Wes Watson. And perhaps we have, Somali needs to get some jail time, but Wes Watson needs to be in jail for a very, very long time. Let's see here. Armando Limon says, any plans to visit South Korea after the RK sentencing? For sure, I will be in Korea. The timing is, I'm figuring out the timing, but I will definitely be in Korea at some point. So whether it's April or May, we'll definitely see, but I will definitely be in Korea. Trust me, we're doing a Korea lap very, very, very soon. And remember, I've got RKI news coming out soon. So that's what I have for you guys today on Wes Watson. I wanted to get that out for you live. That'll, of course, be a Fast Facts coming out for you very, very soon, but it'll be timed at a different time. So you guys will get that at a different date. But that said, I think it's very interesting case. I'm definitely going to be following this one as it develops and kind of giving you guys the updates on this one as it develops. But some people need to be humbled. Some people need to be put in their place, and some people need to feel the consequences of their actions. Wes Watson screwed around, and he needs to be punished. But for now, guys, take care. Make sure you order the cabbage plushie. You can get that in the pinned comments. I'm going to put that in the description as well. And make sure you order that lovely cabbage plushie that is out now. And I will see you this next within 12 hours for an update on Johnny Somali. Until then, guys, take care. Peace.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are more.